Hi guys, welcome back. I hope you guys doing good. So we will see the penetration test breakdown. So chapter 7. So this is the last video of this course. So first we will see put it all together. First we will see the art of writing penetration test reports. Uh, and then second we will see the build the hacker's mindset. So the art of writing penetration test reports. Why is penetration test reports so important? First, you never forget penetration testing is a scientific process, and like all scientific processes, it should be repeatable by an independent party. If a client disagrees with the findings of a test, they have every right to ask for a second opinion from another tester. If your report doesn't detail how you arrived at your conclusions, the second tester will have no idea how to repeat the steps you took to get there. This could lead to them offering a different conclusions, making you look a bit silly and worse still, leave your potential vulnerabilities exposed to the world. So the report, this is the best examples, so bad and better. So as you guys can see in the screen. So the report is the tangible output of testing process and the only real evidence that a test actually took place. Chances are senior management were not around when the tester came into the office. And even if they were, they probably didn't pay a great deal of attention. So to them, the report is the only thing they have to go on when justifying the expense of the test. Having a penetration test performed is not like any other type of contract works. Okay, so once the contract is done, there is no new system implemented or no new pieces of code added to applications. Without the report, it is very hard to explain to someone what exactly they have just paid. So next we will see who is the report for. While the exact audience of the report will vary depending on the organization, it is safe to assume that it will be viewed by at least three types of peoples: senior management, IT management, and IT technical staff will all likely see the report or at least part of it. All of these groups will want to get different snippets of information. Senior management simply doesn't care or doesn't understand what it means if your payment server encryption connections using SSL version 2. All they want to know is answer to one simple question: are we secure? So IT management will be interested in the overall security of the organizations, but will also want to make sure that their particular departments are not the causes of any major issues discovered during testing. I recall giving one particular damning report to three IT managers. Upon reading it, two of them turned very pale, while the third smiled and said, "Great, no database security issues then." IT staff will be the people responsible for fixing any issue found during testing. They will want to know three things: the name of the system affected, how serious the vulnerability is, how to fix it. They will also want this information presented to them in a way that is clear and organized. I find the best way is to group these informations by assets and severity. So for example, server A is a vulnerable to vulnerabilities X, Y, and Z. Vulnerabilities Y is the most critical. This gives IT staff of a chance of working through the list of issues in a reasonable time frame. There is nothing worse than having to work your way backwards and forward through page of reports output to try and keep track of vulnerabilities and whether or not they have been looked at. Of course, you could always ask your client how they would like vulnerabilities grouped. After all, the test is really for their benefit and they are people paying. Some clients prefer to have a page detail such each vulnerabilities with affected assets list under the vulnerability title. This is useful in situations where separate teams may all have responsibilities for different area of a single asset. For example, the system team runs the web server, but the development team writes the code of the application host on it. So, although I have mentioned the three most common audience for penetration test report, this this is not exhaustive list. Once the report is handed over to the client, it is up to them what they do with it. It may end up being presented to auditors as evidence that certain controls are working in. Okay, so it could be presented to potential customers by the sales team. Anyone can say their product is secure, but can they prove it? We can look here is a penetration test report. So next we will see what should the report contain. So your penetration test report should come from a combination of the tools you use. Some of them using the generate reports tools. So nowadays the tools that come up with the generate tools is an inbuilt one. So and your own written work to explain overall health of the environment. A penetration test report comprises any section outlined in the scope of the project, but the listed here, uh, the list shows sections here in the screen. So it's commonly up here. So you guys can use this format or else you can write it on your own. So it just give you a small glance of it. So first we can see that executive summary. So the first part of the consider in your penetration test report is the executive summary. A summary becomes an executive summary when you conduct a summary response in an organization that is likely read by executive leadership staff. For those of you who work in penetration tests and other technical fields, many times you have very little time to speak with and meet with senior executives, so think of the executive summary as an elevator pitch. You need to very quickly and concisely talk to your goal, outcomes, and provide a high level views of key findings that will be very helpful. Okay, you should keep details for the body of the report, not in the summary. Overall, the goal of the summary is to let the reader know what steps were taken, what was ultimately found, and next steps. So you guys can see the example, the best examples, So normally, these are the details of a pen test and executive summary might look like. Next, we will see tools, method, and vector. So these sections of the report is where you can get more detailed covering the tools that were used, what methods were chosen to conduct the pen test, paths taken, attack patterns, vector selected. You can also written a general outline or narrative of the ethical hacks. You can see the image, the two images, the left one uh, shows the best examples. You can either detail or map the specifics of what uh, paths or vectors you took, what tools you used, and any specific methods of attack. So this can be considered the attack narrative. And the second image on right side is a best example in written. Uh, Depending on the length and complexity of the pen test, the section can continue on with a step-by-step layout of the attack narrative and how certain information was found based on the assessments. The specifics here can really help to build a technical map to other teams you might collaborate with to address the risk. You should always assume other technical team may be reading your report to help mitigate the risk. You are the penetration tester, but the system administrator will likely be the one who needs to patch the DNS servers that's providing zone transfers. The report findings may need to go to the SQL database administrator who can help to fix the database to stop injections. These folks works with the risk register to close out the item prior to retest. Okay. Next, we will see detailed findings. All security risk vulnerabilities, presentations, presentation points threats, and concerns with a list of all technical aspects of each findings are provided in detail. This is the part of report that allows you to really dig deeply into the specific of your findings. If you were able to penetrate a specific port and IP address combo or thwart your router securities, all that should go into detailed findings. You can also use the note created and the tool reported audit output for help building your main report. The biggest difference between these sections and the one previous is that this is where you can place the item identified and outcome from the attack narrative. In example, you may want to use the Metasploit audit logs to show all the vulnerabilities identified. You may want to show the specific of the logs where you found the zone transfer issues. Show all details, however, if it seems to be too much information, you can choose to summarize for the sake of brevity. Be cautious so you don't remove information that is needed for your report. It is these details that allow the technical team to not only fix what you found in the pen test, but also identify any and all other issues that may be relevant to the conduct pen test. For example, your goal may have been to protect web architecture, but the technical teams found that all of the Windows servers are missing critical patch that help mitigate other issues that tools may have found. So you don't want to overwhelm anyone, confuse the report, or stray too widely from the goal or scope, but you are beholden to inform those of any and all security infractions you identify along the way. Cover those details that fall outside the project scope in the appendix. The conclusion section takes everything you compiled into your report and succinctly wraps it up with your focus on next steps, if any. Repeating what you wrote in the executive summary can be okay, as long as you switch to focus to next step. You can, of course, outline next steps in a body or anywhere else in the report, but the conclusion at the end should take one last look at next step holistically and purposefully. Okay, so as you guys can see the picture in the video, the next step is to do a retest to ensure that any documented changes, fixes, risk avoidance, or compliance items were handled and done so correctly. A retest will prove that. Okay. So next we see reference and appendix. So normally the recommendations, let's say as an pen tester, you may need to supply some help to those who need it depending on the scope of the project or the size of the company. Smaller organizations may require you to help fix what you found, and if you can, add these to your reports. You can create a separate sections or add it into the detailed findings. As you will see, the details findings, appendix, and recommendations or reference can be repurposed and reorganized based on what you need for report. You could have a recommendations list in your appendix. So if it is a scope, then you should by all means create a list of items you believe that company or organization should do to mitigate the risk you have identified. So many reports in the appendix, when you talk about the appendix, so many reports might have extra information that may or may not be fully relevant to the scope or goal of your pen test and reports. Place such information at the end of the report in appendix. So other information that can go there may be port charts or maps, full audits, tools, logs, other items that can be helpful to those using or reading the report. Okay, so next we will see build a hacker mindset. So here, we will see two topics. First is understanding the hacker's mindset and tips on harnessing the hacker's mindset. So first we will see understanding the hacker's mindset. A growth hacking mindset is important in two ways, both personally and professionally. So as you guys can see in the screen, uh, from a personal point of view, see your mindset as a lens through which you see the world and deal with it. So how do you view challenge? How do you tackle problems? How do you come up with the solutions? How do you look at the unknown? So in this way, a growth hacking mindset is really a personal matter. Your mindset determines how you develop, how you deal with change, and how you feel. For that reason, it is extremely important for yourself. It has an impact on everything you do. So from business point of view, but a growth hacker mindset is also extremely important from a business perspective. So I assume that you as a company have a unique concept. This means that you as a company will also constantly encounter new challenges. For all these new obstacles and challenge, you have to come up with the solutions quickly. And if the first solution doesn't work, you will have to come up with the new solutions. And most solution will again require other tools or skills that you or your employee must learn. So that is why a growth hacking mindset is so important. So understanding the mindset, I mean the hacker mindset. Okay. So because you need to have an open mind to challenge, which allows you to find solution faster, for which you need to learn new tools and skills faster, which allow you to take steps faster as a company. So many growth hackers even describe growth hacking as a mindset and way of working rather than a discipline. And if you think about it, that's right. Two growth hackers can do completely different work with completely different tools in different business models and different solutions, but always the same goal, growth. So the main point here is you can also make yourself a lot of important to yourself employer if you are the one find a solution to any problem. So next we will see tips on harnessing the hacker's mindset. Tip 1. Change your image of success. First, you will have to change your mindset to stop looking at success as a being the best. But from now on, you have to see success as always wanting to get better. As a company, you can better at the top, but that doesn't guarantee that you will stay there. So Blockbuster, so just give you an example. Blockbuster was always the best, but Netflix strived to keep getting better, while Blockbuster was not prepared to keep innovative. For you as a growth hacker, this means that you must continue to strive for growth because there is always room of improvement. A part of growth is failing and learning from it. So keep trying to learn from experiment that having produced a major improvement. Why did our customer not respond the way I expect them to? Why did that ad have such a low CTR? How can I apply the knowledge to other channels and incorporate those insights into future experiment? So you have to think about it. Okay, so tips 2, don't stop by obstacle. As we discussed earlier, speed is the most important factor for your growth. So don't stop by obstacle. Find help to learn how to get over an obstacle. So for best example, one of the best example by discussing it with others or googling it, you don't understand why your Facebook ad is not converting properly. Ask it on Quora or in Facebook group. So second, don't know how to adjust the header of your websites. So you can go ahead, look it up on Google or search or YouTube for a tutorial. So the third example, like do you no longer have an inspiration for new acquisitions channels? Just send an email to a more experiment growth hackers. You guys can use a tool like a Stack Overflow is one of the best tools. So there's a lot of community around there. So you guys go ahead, find the people there, right people there. So most people shut down when they don't know how to move forward. Force yourself to solve problem and overcome obstacles anyway. That will help you to develop your growth hacking mindset. This is how it works. Okay. So tips 3, stay curious. The third tips to develop your growth hacking mindset is that you have to learn something new every day. This will help you to take a broad look at all possibilities in your project. Ensure that you are better informed about the latest techniques and helps you to view problem from multiple angles. The marketing world is developing so fast that new opportunities are popping up every day. But fortunately, there are also plenty of people who are willing to share their knowledge. For example, you guys can see that newsletter, the sign up for some interesting newsletter for growth hackers. So there's a lot of websites over there. It's like zest.is, Listly, and then content curators and Uber Flips and content tools. So there is a lot of tools that you can get. You can sign up the newsletter, so you will receive the up-to-date information from there. Okay. So tip 4, surround yourself with the right people. It will work wonder for your mindset. If everyone around you think the way you want to think, you will soon discover how infectious a growth hacker mindset is. This means that you are looking for people around you who think in solutions instead of just criticizing. Always keep learning instead of people who only trust their outdated knowledge. Being open to alternative choices instead of always choosing the earliest way. I don't mean that you should only surround yourself with the growth hackers, but that you should be critical about the people around you. Also, in a private space, uh, the people around you have a big influence on how you think. So spend more time on people who have a growth mindset. It can also help you to find a growth hacking mentor. An experienced growth hacking hackers who likes to share his knowledge and answer your questions. Tip 5, challenge your own assumptions. Finally, every marketer will at some point lose their inventiveness for the field. You may recognize yourself in one of the best three following characters. Let me explain. First, your new ideas are no longer really innovative. The second one, you are often applying the same techniques. The third one, you feel that you are often that last person to discover a new technique. If you recognize these three these 3 points, it is good if you challenge yourself more often. The, the problem is that you are stuck in your own assumptions. In order to innovate, you must be regularly challenged in your fixed assumptions. So that's it, guys, for this course. So I hope you guys enjoy the course. So we will see the next course. So please subscribe if you guys like, and share these videos to your friends. Okay, take care. Bye bye.